Welcome to another episode of Books and Bytes. Today we're diving deep into the world of Fyodor Dostoevsky, a truly towering figure in literature, wouldn't you say? His psychological insights they still resonate so powerfully.
Absolutely. Born back in 1821 in Moscow, educated in St. Petersburg, and he had that early success, with poor folk in 46.
Right, but then things took a very dramatic turn. The arrest, the mock execution, it's hard to even imagine.
It really is. Being involved with that socialist group changed everything. That death sentence, then commuted to years in a Siberian prison, followed by army service, it shaped him profoundly. And his first marriage to Marie Izeva happened during that time, too.
And when he finally returned to St. Petersburg in 1859, that's when, the floodgates really opened creatively.
Exactly. That's when we get Notes from Underground, then the big ones, Crime and Punishment, The Idiot, The Possessed, The Brothers Karamazov.
Yeah.
An incredible period before his death in 1881.
Our focus today, though, is on a slightly earlier, shorter work, the novella White Nights.
Ah, yes. A really beautiful, poignant piece. It explores loneliness, the power and danger of dreams, fleeting connections.
All set against that incredibly atmospheric backdrop of St. Petersburg during its famous White Nights. We'll be drawing on Dostoevsky's life and, of course, the text itself to unpack it.
Sounds good. It really kicks off by establishing the narrator's intense bond with the city, St. Petersburg.
It's more than just a setting for him, isn't it? It's like a character itself.
Definitely. He notices everything, a building getting repainted, someone...
And he mentions being glad he had his walking stick. It's almost comical, but maybe hints at a desire to, actually do something.
It's a key moment, that intervention. It pushes him out of his shell, just a little.
So after the incident, he approaches her. He notes he was feeling unusually happy that day. He'd even walked outside the city.
And then he sees her crying, and he just can't bear it. He's awkward, apologetic, offering brotherly compassion. You really feel his tentative steps towards connection.
It's quite touching, his uncertainty. And it leads to them agreeing to meet again the next night.
Yes, and Nastenka's tone there is interesting. A bit demanding, maybe setting conditions, but also hesitant.
And the narrator immediately flags himself as a dreamer. He treasures these moments, knowing he'll replay them in his mind. He talks about his special spots in the city, too.
Places loaded with memories and feelings, and Nastenka, she's very clear. This isn't a date, okay? It's for safety.
Right. Practical reasons.
But you sense something else, too, underneath. A little flicker of pleasure, perhaps, at the idea of meeting again.
It's a careful negotiation, even from the start. Different needs, different expectations.
Definitely. So the second meeting starts with her teasing him a bit about being impatient.
Which shows some comfort level is already developed, right?
Exactly. And he immediately says again, I'm a dreamer. It's like he needs to put that identity out there, maybe as a disclaimer.
This is who you're dealing with. And then Nastenka drops a hint about a secret. A story, she might tell him.
Framing it like a romance, but from a distance, it definitely catches the narrator's interest, stirs his imagination.
Then later that second night, the conversation deepens. She asks him to be more intelligent in how they talk.
Which is a bit ambiguous, but suggests she wants something more substantial, maybe.
And he's all enthusiasm. Eager to please, eager to connect on that level.
And then that lovely little moment where she tells him off for squeezing her hands.
But immediately admits she'd been thinking about him.
That's a real shift, isn't it? A sign that he's actually made an impression, that it's not just one-sided.
It really opens the door for his big monologue, the description of Petersburg's strange corners.
Oh, that's such a powerful passage, where this other reality exists, lit by a different sun, full of fantasy and idealism, but mixed with this bleak ordinariness.
He paints this vivid picture of the dreamer's life, doesn't he? A life lived mostly inside his head.
Completely. He contrasts it with what he calls the over-serious time they live in. It's that constant pull between the ideal and the dull reality.
And he goes into such detail about the dreamer character, which is clearly himself, the isolation, relying on Matriona, his housekeeper.
And the sheer intensity of his fantasies. He dreams of being a poet, a hero, romancing literary heroines. It feels incredibly real to him.
You almost feel it within the quickened pulse, the tears, the flushed cheeks he describes. Sleepless nights just buzzing with imagined joy.
But then there's always the crash back down, the return to the gloomy room, the gray morning. The contrast is brutal.
And Nastenka's reaction, she's worried. She says, it's not right to live like that.
She brings this grounded perspective. It's a moment of connection, but also highlights their different ways of being.
And he agrees with her, emotionally. He has this painful realization, doesn't he, that maybe he's wasted his best years.
Yes, and he credits her with making him see it. But there's this bittersweet feeling if she leaves, he'll just go back to that lonely dreaming.
Which leads him to reflect on his wanderings through the city, feeling haunted by past dreams and this sense of guilt.
That gnawing guilt over lost potential. Where are your dreams? What have you done with those years? It's heartbreaking stuff.
It really is. A confrontation with himself, brought on by meeting her. Then she changes tack and asks for his advice.
Right, which sort of surprises him, I think. It makes that self-deprecating joke about them coming up with intelligent suggestions together.
And that's when she finally tells her story about the lodger.
Yes, we get the backstory. Living with her blind grandmother, their quiet life, limited means, the grandmother always talking about the good old days.
And that incredibly awkward incident with the safety pin on the armchair.
Oh gosh, yes. Pinned to her dress so she doesn't move while knitting, and the lodger accidentally discovers it when he sits down. Nastenka is mortified.
Understandably. But that awkwardness kind of breaks the ice, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It leads to him offering them books.
Right, including Walter Scott and Pushkin, though the grandmother is worried they might be indecent.
Which is quite funny. And through the books and then trips to the theater, Nastenka and the lodger get closer.
She starts hopeful, thinking maybe he's interested, testing her.
But then the doubt creeps in. She starts to feel he's just pitying her.
Which speaks volumes about her own insecurities and her longing for real affection, not just sympathy.
Here comes the bombshell. The lodger announces he's leaving for Moscow.
And Nastenka is devastated. The description of her going pale, limp, it's very physical. She makes that desperate decision to go see him the night before he leaves.
A bold move, really. Very vulnerable.
And his reaction is complex. He's honest, says he's poor, can't marry her now, but maybe in a year. He asks her to wait, but doesn't want to bind her, if she still loves him when he returns.
He leaves it open, but puts the onus on her waiting. It's a promise, but a conditional one.
Exactly. And the narrator, he's all encouragement. Write to him when he gets back. He even suggests how to start the letter. Dear Sir.
He gets so invested, telling her to write about her year of hope, but also accepting it if his feelings have changed. He's living vicariously through her potential romance.
It really shows his own yearning, doesn't it? So we get to the third night, and it's raining, a sense of foreboding.
The weather reflects the mood. They can't meet because of the rain. And the narrator reflects on how happy Nastenka had seen before.
How joy made her beautiful, her heart overflowing, but he's painfully aware that joy was all about the other man.
Ouch. That's got to sting.
And then when they do meet again, presumably on the fourth night, and the lodger hasn't shown up, Nastenka's different.
How so?
More attentive to the narrator, maybe a bit timid. He interprets it as pity for his own unspoken feelings for her.
And she starts questioning her own feelings for the lodger, right?
Yeah.
Wondering if it was just a delusion, a way to escape her grandmother.
Exactly. She's reevaluating everything, which gives the narrator his opening.
And he takes it. He declares his love for her very openly.
A really heartfelt declaration. He acknowledges her past feelings, but pleads for her pity, her compassion, and promises his own unwavering love.
How does she respond to that?
Her voice is weak, quivering. She talks about loving the other man for a year, being faithful, but feeling wounded now by his silence, his actions.
So she's conflicted.
Deeply. But then she says something crucial, that she can only love someone generous, kind, implying the lodger isn't worthy.
Ah, a shift.
A definite shift. She even wonders if her love for the lodger was just childishness, and she seems open tentatively to the narrator's love if it's real and strong.
And we get that little detail about why the grandmother wanted a young lodger in the first place.
Yes. The unspoken agenda to marry Nastenka off. It adds another layer to Nastenka's situation.
Then there's that moment they just laugh together. And she spontaneously asks him where he lives, invites him to come live with them as a lodger.
It's impulsive, but shows this growing closeness, this desire for something more permanent, maybe.
So as they part on that fourth night, she insists it has to be the final goodbye for that evening.
And he agrees. They share that beautiful moment looking at the night sky, the moon, the clouds. A shared intimacy, even as they're about to separate.
But his walk home alone, it's filled with emotion.
Complex emotions. He remembers the hurt she caused unintentionally, but feels no bitterness. Just a blessing for her happiness, even if it's with the other man.
And that image of the disappearing rain cloud mirroring his own lonely future. It's incredibly poignant.
It really stays with you. And then, of course, the ending.
The lodger returns. unexpectedly.
Right when Nastenka seemed ready to move on, perhaps. She sees him, runs to him, they have their joyful reunion.
Leaving the narrator.
Alone again. Back with his dreams. The connection was real, intensely felt, but ultimately fleeting.
It really drives home those themes of transient happiness, the power of dreams versus reality.
Absolutely. It makes you think about that balance, doesn't it? Between our rich inner worlds and the often messy external one. How even imagined things shape us so deeply.
White Nights is just packed with so much emotional depth. It's a novella that really lingers. To truly experience its beauty, you can grab a copy of the book from the link in the description.
It's well worth the read.
And be sure to subscribe to Books and Bytes for more literary deep dives.
We'll leave you with this thought. How much power do those fleeting moments of connection truly hold? And how do we navigate the line between enriching fantasy and engaging with the world around us? Something to consider.